Okay, folks, welcome back. This is our week 3, our first lesson. So our first lesson, we're going to talk about some solving multi-step equations with more than one step. But first, a couple of announcements. We have a test coming up on October 5th. As we get closer to that, I'll let you know what the test procedure will be. Reminder, every Friday at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m., I'm available for video call. Please click on the link on Google Classroom. Join me and ask me questions if you're available. How to write an email. We need to talk about how to write an email. I've been getting a lot of emails, which is great. People are communicating. That's fantastic. But we need to practice how we write emails. First, I want to talk about this is where we write the email of the teacher that we're trying to contact. This right here, this is called a subject line. The subject line is meant to be very brief, very short, only 1, 2, or 3 words. You should not be writing your whole email in the subject line, okay? Greeting. So just a hello, Mr., Mrs., blah, blah, blah. It makes it look professional. Next, your message should include what class you're in, what day you see me, and what subject, okay? So all 3 of those things should be included. I gave an example here. I am from Monday, Algebra 1, first period. Gives the day, gives the class, and gives the subject, okay? Next, please be specific if you have questions. I've had a lot of people emailing, I don't know how to do number 4. Well, what is number 4? What is that from? You need to be specific. You need to tell me where I need to be looking to help you. At the end, just a little signature. Your name is fine at the end. And then please reread it before you send it to me. Make sure there's capital letters, punctuation. Make sure it looks professional and that it makes sense. Okay. Cool. So, multi-step equations. First, we need to review distribution, a little bit of distribution practice. We practiced this a couple of times throughout the first couple of weeks of school already. So we're going to distribute, and we need to remember that distribution is the same as multiplication, right? So little multiplication sign right there. 3 times 2a, well, that's going to be 6a. The variable stays the exact same. And then 3 times 2 gives us 6. And this positive sign just moves right down here. And that's as simple as it gets. We have now simplified, made more simple, the expression, no equal sign, so we know it's an expression, by distribution. Next, this one's a little bit more complicated because we have this negative in front. And when we see a negative in front of parentheses, we need to remember that's really like a negative 1 times whatever's in the parentheses. So we're going to distribute a negative 1 here, which gives us negative 1 times n, which is negative 1n, and negative 1 times 10, which is negative 10, or minus 10, okay? And then this 4n, we haven't touched that yet, so we're just going to move it down. Now, we know if we're trying to simplify, we've already distributed, then we can add like terms, combine like terms. Negative 1n plus 4n is 3n minus 10, okay? And it's fully simplified. There's no more like terms in either of these, so it cannot be added any further. That's as simple as it gets. Now, we can use that distribution tool we just talked about to solve equations as well. Let's see what that looks like. So we notice we have our number right here, our integer right outside of the parentheses. So we want to solve this equation for the value of x. To do that, we need to first start by distributing or multiplying. Now, negative 5 times 3 is negative 15. Negative 5 times negative 2x, negative times a negative, is a positive 5 times 2, 10, and then the variable just stays the same right there. Now, we also haven't touched this equal sign or the negative 65, so we're just going to move that down. Now, I'm hoping we recognize that this has become a 2-step equation. We were familiar with these from last week, so now we can solve this like we would any 2-step equation. We're going to add 15 to both sides, add 15 to both sides. This leaves us right here, and this week we're going to use our calculators. So we're going to do negative 65 plus 15. Okay, sorry about that, folks. A little hiccup in the the computer. Okay, so as I was saying, we're going to distribute this right here, and we had our negative 65, our negative 15, and our positive 10x. This looks like 40, but that's a positive 10x. Okay, and we're going to add our 15 right here, and we have our calculator that we're going to use this week. We'll get a little bit more instruction on it next week. We're going to do negative 65 plus 15, negative 65 plus 15, and of course that is negative 50, negative 50. Negative 15 plus 15 cancels out, leaves us with just 10x. We're going to divide both sides by 10. We know we're going to divide because this is 10 times x, so we're going to divide using inverse operations. That leaves us with x, because our 10s cancel out, and negative 50 divided by 10 is negative 5. Okay. We have now isolated, I-S-O-L-A-T-E-D, isolated our variable. Cool. Again, we will distribute, which gives us negative 3 times negative 6 is positive 18, and we have negative 3 times negative 3x, which is positive 9x, equals 63. We can subtract 18 from both sides, This gives us 9x equals, and we can use our calculator, 63 minus 18 is 45. Now, this is 9 times x, so we're going to divide by 9, x equals 5, and we have now isolated our variable, big arrow there. Okay, now let's clear this screen, the next one. Now, we are going to practice a little bit of fixing mistakes that we might find in other people's work. And if we can fix mistakes in other people's work, that'll help us learn to recognize our own mistakes. So looking at this problem right here, somebody has spent the time to solve this equation. They did exactly what we were practicing. They were distributing and then solving. So distributing this negative 2 to 8m gives you negative 16m. That's perfect. Totally makes sense. Negative 2 plus 8 multiplied together is not positive 16. It's negative 16. So it asks you over here to explain the errors made. I am only going to write a very simple thing, which is negative 2 times 8 equals negative 16. I expect you folks to write a sentence there, okay? But my pen's not great, so I'll leave that to you. Now, it also tells us we could find more than one mistake. So if we keep looking, they decided to, we'll pretend that this is correct and we'll just keep going down. They decided to subtract 16. Totally makes sense. They did it from both sides. Awesome. But you'll notice on the next step, it was negative 16m divided by 16. It really should be divided by negative 16, right? To get rid of this whole negative 16, to isolate the variable, we needed to divide by negative 16. Okay, so I'm going to put over here, divide by negative 16, but again, you should write a sentence as opposed to just a quick little note like I'm doing. And the correct solution, now that we found the two mistakes, I'll trust you folks to write out the correct solution yourself, showing all your work, obviously. And cool. I guess that's it, folks. If you have any questions, always feel free to email me. If there's any questions you want me to go over, either show up on our Friday video chat or just message me and we can talk about whatever you want to talk about. Proud of you as always. You folks enjoy the rest of your day.